What we are learning about right now is we are in the golden age of sports. Frankly, we have never seen anything like what's going on right now. I told you it was going to be like this, but I think a lot of you didn't really realize or believe it. For basically the entirety of the month of August, from noon Eastern to about midnight Eastern, we have 12 straight hours of sports every single day, all day long. It's like March Madness, that opening Thursday and Friday of the NCAA tournament, except throughout the entirety of the month and involving more than one sport. Whether you are a Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL fan, or right now a PGA Championship fan starting on Thursday as well, we have got sports out there, the likes of which we've never seen before in the history of this country. And it's going to be going on all day, every day, throughout August and on through September, with a cornucopia of sporting excess, the likes of which we have never seen before. There are a bunch of things going on right now, but I want you to just pause for a moment and think about how insane that is. And also to think about how many people said, oh, this will never happen, there's not going to be any sports in 2020, and how wrong all of those people were. Want to give credit to Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, for making the decision to keep powering through. There are going to be outbreaks. The latest one is in St. Louis, but by and large, more teams are coming back online. The Marlins are finally, it appears, going to return to play. Derek Jeter tried to defend his crew and said, well, some just went out for milk, which is maybe one of the most ridiculous defenses I have seen in some time. A bunch of different stories that are out there that are worth hitting. Off the top, the Big 12 in the world of college football has made a decision to go with a 10-game schedule option as well. They will play 9 conference games as well as 1 out-of-conference game. Each team will, for 10 total games, which means that the Big Ten, the SEC, the Pac-12, the ACC, and the whoever else is out there that I just forgot, the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12, all 5 major conferences will play 10 total games. Everybody else will do it with only conference games, but the Big 12 only has 10 teams total, so they will play round robin, 9 games in conference, 1 out of conference, which means only 1 out of conference game will be happening for everybody, it appears, in the entirety of the Big 5 conferences. The Lakers got the number 1 overall seed last night with a win over the Jazz. I'm not sure that it really matters at all what seed you are, but they are penciled in now as the number 1 seed. The Grizzlies have collapsed coming into the bubble. They have lost 3 games in a row, and now there is a lot of uncertainty over what's going to happen in that 8-9 arena, but it seems very unlikely that anybody is going to win the 8 seed by 4 games or more, so we are headed towards a playoff in the Western Conference for that final spot. The question is, who will be the 8-9 seeds and who will win that right to take on the Lakers in the first round of the NBA's Western Conference. In terms of what is going on in the NHL, we got all sorts of craziness and zaniness with the NHL playoffs underway and NHL playoff games underway all day long, every day, which is, like I said, pretty wild to watch if you are a big NHL fan. All of that moving in a very, very positive direction in terms of the return of sports. For people out there who are my Corona bros, and we may get into this a little bit later in the program, but the Corona bro community needs to recognize that we now are through the worst in Texas, Florida, Arizona, and may well be through the worst in California as well, plus all of the other southern states. If you look at the data, whether it's South Carolina, whether it's Alabama, whether it's Tennessee, all of those states appear to also be through the worst of their outbreaks, which means things are going to get a lot better very rapidly, I believe, in all of those states, which is good because high school football in many states is officially underway. And also many of you out there are beginning to return to school. And so there are a lot more people up and in their cars this morning. And over the next couple of weeks, there will be as many aspects of normalcy begin to return across this country. There's a lot of reason for optimism there. But yesterday, I told you guys that I would address in greater detail and give you guys an opportunity to call in the Pac-12 mess surrounding players demanding 50% of the revenue, and the fact that this is immediately covered as if it is a real story that is out there, when in reality there is not a lot of basis to it, and there's no way at all that any of the demands of the Pac-12 players can become a reality as it pertains to revenue, because if they do that, then the athletic departments all collapse as a business, and also Title IX is violated, meaning all of these state and federal institutional laws that govern equality between the sexes as it pertains to athletics would be violated, meaning that billions of dollars, that's billions with a B, in federal and state money would be questionably allowed to go to these institutions of higher learning, these colleges and universities. So this demand is so dumb, it is dead on arrival. I want to bring in the crew. I hope everybody out there, like I said, is having a fantastic Tuesday. Danny G, well, first of all, let me give you out the phone number, 877-996-6369. If anybody has any questions about that Pac-12 scenario, we spent a lot of time on that. By the way, also want to officially welcome Jason Whitlock to Nashville. We were talking yesterday. He officially moved into his apartment, came back down from Kansas City, and so he is underway with a move here to Nashville, which is going to be pretty awesome for OutKick going forward. Danny G, what stood out to you about everything I just ran through right off of the top there in terms of breaking down where we are in the world of sports? And did you ever believe you would see an August like the one that we're in the middle of right now?
No, it's a little confusing knowing exactly where you're at, catching your bearings of the calendar, because I'm switching back and forth between MLB and NBA, and they're talking about NBA finals in October, which you would never think you would hear something like that, you know. Anthony Davis was amazing last night, both on the defensive side of the ball and him stepping back, a guy that big stepping back with the three-pointer, with that 4-point play at the end of the game was pretty spectacular. If LeBron wasn't on the Lakers, I think there would be a lot more chatter about whether or not AD should be in the conversation for MVP. So he's had a tremendous season. That stood out to me, of course, being a Lakers fan. And then, man, I've even been interested in the hockey highlights. Maybe Eddie could chime in on it, but there's been bad blood between the Jets and Flames. In Game 1, there was a cheap shot into the boards. And I don't think there were any suspensions or anything that carried over into Game 2. But also Dallas, Vegas, the Golden Knights game, there was a big call reversed at the end of that game. And I wanted to point out, you mentioned yesterday that you're officially a Braves fan for your son.
Yes.
And the very first day you're a Braves fan,
everything falls apart.
They get routed by the Mets, and their star pitcher goes down in a heap. Poor guy with that ACL. And I couldn't help but think you jinxed the Braves, or it's just more Braves baseball.
Yeah, my son actually got the A carved into his head yesterday. He had to get a haircut.
Hardcore.
My family has been in Michigan for 10 days now, so they are going to be back today, which I'm excited for them to get back. But yesterday they all went to the Detroit Zoo, and then they all went and got haircuts up in Michigan. My wife is from Michigan, so they're going to be on the road all day today, driving back down to Nashville in time for school to start back up here, which begins on Friday for many kids, at least in my part of Nashville. my nieces and nephews went back to school yesterday, so at least for partial school openings. But there are, I thought about that immediately as it pertains to the Braves and the ethics behind me becoming a Braves fan, and then welcome to Bravedom to have that exactly happen. What about you, Dub? What's standing out to you more than anything else as we return to what is the wildest August we've ever seen as sports fans?
Well, what stands out to me is today, just today alone, we have 6 NBA games, 13 MLB games, and 6 hockey games. That's 25 games on the docket just today. And like you said, this whole month is going to be similar to that. We're going to have 20-plus games every single day. We got the PGA Championship this week. Tigers back, going for major number 16 in San Francisco. So, I mean, this week alone is going to be pretty special. And just for me personally, watching the Spurs blow one last night, it felt really sports is back officially.
Eddie, you're our resident hockey expert. Dub just mentioned 6 different hockey games going on, but not just 6 different hockey games going on, 6 different hockey playoff games going on, and even wilder, a 5-game playoff series, which we already know how many different crazy outcomes you can have in the NHL playoffs in general. And that's with home ice and everything associated with that. Now that everything is a neutral site, it seems like there could be even wilder swings in terms of which teams are able to get on a roll. As a hockey guy, this has to be almost like Christmas morning every day.
Yeah, and literally, out here on the West Coast, games are starting at 9 a.m. and ending around 10 p.m.
Yeah.
I mean, it is unbelievable how we've gone, 4 months without, and now suddenly it's just wall-to-wall games, one after another. It's almost, too much to take in, but for hockey, they're having these play-in round games, and then they're going to start the first round, and so it'll start all over again with games literally going all day. And everyone's healthy, and in hockey that's certainly an issue because that season is such a grind, and no travel. So these guys are going to be, I guess, even fresher going forward for these playoff games. And I've been pleasantly surprised to see that the nastiness is already starting so quickly. I mean, Danny G mentioned it. This series between Calgary and Winnipeg has already had coaches calling out players in the media for being dirty and gutless. And I mean, you usually don't see this. I didn't expect to see the nastiness this quickly, but in a couple of the series, it's been really fun.
All right, I'm going to open up the phone lines, 877-996-6369. I want to know if there are any questions out there about the Pac-12 athlete threat to sit out, whether anybody has any questions about the demands from players. We talked a little bit about this yesterday at the start of hour 2, but I feel like there are probably a bunch of you who have questions. I could be wrong, but I'm going to open up the phone lines and allow you to weigh in with any questions you might have, because this is a pretty complicated story, and I don't think the sports media has done that great of a job explaining it. I'll also bring in the crew and see if they have any questions about it as we talk about the return of college football and certainly the NFL joining the overall roadmap that we are under right now, which is basically March Madness comes to August, and instead of just college basketball, we are tripling it. And we got NHL, we got NBA, and we've got Major League Baseball every day, all day long, effectively. It's wild. It's just pretty incredible to see. So we'll take some of your calls. We'll break all that down for you. I appreciate you spending your Tuesday morning with us. This is OutKick the Coverage on Fox Sports Radio.